Certainly. The concept first started being raised by our members. It was actually during a board meeting where we used to have the board meetings when in the U.S., always in Washington. So the members were saying, why are we always doing our gatherings, our convenings only in Washington, when in fact there's very little business in Washington? So they said, why do we not have some of the convenings in other cities with other sectors, basically where our members will be able to come and visit and meet with counterparts in their business sectors. And that's how we began discussing this idea of the Roadshow.
And how does it consist of?
So we will begin, in fact, later this week on Thursday with the initial gathering, convening here in Washington, which will focus on the U.S. government financing agencies that really work very closely with U.S. business trying to invest or do business and trade with Africa. So that's kind of the more standard formats, if you will. We hear that often, the U.S. government agencies helping and working with U.S. business. We have invited also many of our Frontier 100 members from Africa. They're also coming here. And by the way, it's at the same time this week is also the World Bank spring meetings. So that brings many of the African ministers to town that will be also participating in our convenings. So that's the Washington component. We're then going to New York City, Monday and Tuesday, to focus on the financing, equity, insurance, finance side of the business sector, if you will. In each case, what we try to do in each of the cities is to have a format where there will be a site visit of particular interest to our own African members to reach out and see how we in the U.S. do business in whatever sectors, banking in New York, for example. I'll come back to the details. And then we go to Des Moines, Iowa for 2 days. That will be for the agro-industrial sector. And to Houston for 2 days for energy, power, and infrastructure, basically the natural resources side. In each city, as I said, there will be a component that is a visit to site to particular points of interest. So in New York, we're focused on visits to Wall Street Journal to have a discussion, kind of an open, almost editorial roundtable with them, with our business people. And then have a reception at Thomson Reuters to give an opportunity really for the two businesses, the American side to meet with the African side. And then the following day, in each case, it will be a sponsor, in this case in New York, it's Norton Rose, that will be hosting then an interaction amongst, on specific themes, in this case in New York, dealing with finance and banking with our members. And always the goal is to reach out to the American businesses, but beyond the obvious ones. We're trying to also bring in the American SMEs into the discussion. Working very closely with us on this is the USAID trade hubs from East Africa and Southern Africa. And part of that has come about because in themselves are trying to figure out what is a better way to reach the US SME sector. So that same formulation, we will then also go to Des Moines, Iowa. In Des Moines, the principal host, if you will be the Iowa State University. And again, some of our agricultural companies also sponsoring. We have the group ACO as one of our sponsors. We have the John Deere, the tractors, a number of U.S. companies. There's the Iowa State University and the whole research park. And we're here wanting to have the U.S. agro-industrial, both small, medium, and large, get to know what it's like to do business in Africa. The whole point is business is not done in Washington, it's done in New York, it's done in Iowa, in agro-industry. We continue on to Houston, where the focus will be on oil, gas, power, energy, okay, infrastructure. Because in the end, what's it all about? If you will, one of our close collaborators, you know, is always the African Development Bank. For African Development Bank and their high fives, what is the highest of the fives? Is power, it's energy. No energy, no industrialization, no jobs. I mean, growth is all about energy. So that's why the very, very important element of that discussion in Houston, that's also the sidelines at the time of the OTC, it's a big conference on oil and technology. So really what we're trying to do with the Roadshow, Ben, is to say, guys, it's doing business with Africa, first of all, needs to be understood, needs to be routinized. It's not something just special. It is normal. Africa is growing, the economies are growing. we need to start trading and doing business with Africa on a regular basis.